Hey everybody, welcome to BrickVault. Today we're going to take a closer look at our entire minifigure collection in the studio as a whole. This is one of the largest privately owned collections in the world, with complete themed collections of Star Wars, Marvel, DC, Harry Potter, all of space, and a whole lot more. Before I jump in any further, I do want to say that our studio is open on the weekends for drop-ins or tours, and it's not just minifigures on display, but we have some massive Lego dioramas, a huge Lego city, tons of custom creations, and places for adults and kids to play with Lego bricks or Duplo. Click that link in the description below to learn more, and back to the video. For preparation of this video, and for the first time ever, I finally tallied up the total figs in all of our cases in this room right here, and I got 3,950 on the dot. Now, I didn't count them out individually. I had some help totaling them from BrickLink, so there could be some minor discrepancies with that number, but just under 4,000 I think is pretty accurate. But remember now, that is nearly 4,000 unique minifigures, with each one being different in some way from the rest. If you're familiar with our collection review videos, you'll know that some of those changes can be pretty minor, but nevertheless, these figs are all different from each other, every single one. Now, this doesn't total all of our figs that we have in the studio, of course. Yavin 4, for example, in the middle isn't accounted for. None of the figs in our city are being counted. Neither are our bags of extra figs and incomplete collections. They're still lying around. Plus, there are over 400 figures and other totally complete collections of unique figs that we just simply don't have space yet for displaying properly. So if I had to make a baseline guess of how many figs in total there are in the studio, there's probably over 5,500, not really sure, with most of the figs in the studio actually being unique and different from the rest. There aren't as many repeats as there are unique individual figs. Anyways, each case here will get some individual attention in this video, with highlights on some of the most interesting figs, my personal favorites, also the rare ones that sell for quite a lot amongst collectors, and any interesting factoids that happen to pop in my mind as we're going through. Most of the themes in the cases have a much deeper and more detailed deep dive collection review video, or several videos, so I've linked some of them in the description below if you want to know more about any of these themes. And now we're going to go clockwise around the room and start with the Marvel and Minecraft case. Spider-Man was the first superhero minifigure ever made by Lego, starting Marvel off, I think, about 4 years ahead of DC, which means the first figs here have yellow skin, while DC never got yellow skin figs. And these first few years here were figs based on the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, and a lot of them are very collectible nowadays. You'll see a few different price tags here and there. Now, as the rest of the Marvel Universe fell into place with Lego sets coming out in the early 2010s, it became apparent that Iron Man was going to get reproduced more than any other character. I did a rough count for this video. I think there are 28 Iron Mans and Tony Starks plus his suits in total, which makes him the most popular of the Marvel figs. And here are just a handful of some of the more collectible figs that you can find in the case. I'd say the most unique figure for sure is MODOK, and my personal favorite is Scuba Iron Man, who turns out to have become pretty collectible on his own. Also, by the way, my least favorite is BrickVault Groot. He just looks kind of weird. I don't think that build turned out well at all. But moving down to Minecraft, this collection I would say is the most successful when it comes to integrating brick-built figs into a minifigure population. It just wouldn't feel complete if we didn't have all the mobs. At the bottom, those red bricks indicate some missing guys, but don't worry, we just haven't built the sets yet. They'll be in there soon. And I think the main things that really started breaking up the look of this collection were the skin packs from 2016. I'd say the astronaut is my favorite of those figs, and the most collectible rare figures here are the white villager and the witch, mostly just because of the sets they came out in, and I do not have a least favorite for this theme. Nothing really drops below expectations when it comes to Minecraft. It just works well in Lego, who would have thought? Now moving on to case 2, it's a pure DC display case, more figs than Marvel due to the Lego Batman movie, and in total we're looking at around 420 figures here. And the crazy thing about that is, on average, 1 in 5 is Batman. He is by far the most reproduced character in all of Lego. He has got a lot of silly recreations, my personal favorite being Excalibur from Dimensions, and you can see here the bottom shelf figs came from from the movie, the Lego Batman movie. And you can see there's just way more silly figs here that end up bolstering the total of DC by a lot. Here are some of the rare guys, and it wouldn't be fair for me to talk about some of the rare collectible figs in DC and Marvel without mentioning SDCC, the San Diego Comic-Con figs. These guys are by far the most rare and collectible figs that Lego has ever produced, and for the most rare fig in DC, the Black Suit Superman holds that title, and for Marvel, it is the 2013 Spider-Man. You know, there is something just magical about ninjas, colors, and elements. It was a tried and true concept well before the creation of Ninjago, and this theme surprised even the creators by lasting much longer than originally planned. Personally, I think you can find the best variety of figures here, and though the collection is very popular for viewers and visitors, these guys aren't nearly as expensive to attain compared to Marvel, DC, or Star Wars. I'll be very curious to see what Ninjago keeps pushing out as the years go by, because it seems each season gives us enough new and different bad guys to flesh out a totally different and new theme, which is so much fun. Some of my favorite figs are Echo Zane for his copper look, Doubloon, I think is how you pronounce his name. He's got a reversible head, which is so fun and clever. And from the same theme, the Skybound Robot Monkey both intrigues me and disturbs me. The Ninjago movie sets were some of my favorite sets ever. The Wave of Creations were particularly high quality. The builds look amazing, and I remember the prices being pretty good too. This collection is going to keep growing pretty fast, I've got a feeling, but now in terms of fast growing collections, we've got Star Wars. It is the big one. It is the biggest one by far. We need 2 cases for it at the moment. And with well over 1,000 figs, it is by far the most difficult to attain in both sheer quantity and rarity. It's my belief that this line of Star Wars sets from 1999 is what truly started the collectability of the Lego minifigure as we know today. And the Star Wars line also started a lot of the innovation for more details, molds, and printing techniques for figs in general. At the end of the day, people wanted their favorite characters in Lego form, and Lego had to make them look as good as possible. In a grander sense of collecting, this is our ultimate collection in the studio. It is by far our favorite theme, and it is the theme that really made people, including us, want to get into collecting in the first place. The rarity of many of these early figures cannot be understated, with several ranging in the $100 and up range somewhere. As we pan by, you can see some of these Lego minifigures indicated are the first time a certain minifigure had a unique or different innovation. And I know people are going to ask, and certainly have asked during live streams in the past, my personal favorite Star Wars figure, or figures I should say, is the first Jango Fett. He's one of the only guys produced in this violet color, which is pretty cool. And I also just like the mold for Max Rebo. He's a very simple fig with a very strange alien head. Now the space case here is one of our favorites in the studio. It's unique because when we start off with classic space at the very top, this theme marks basically when minifigures started to become a thing. Along with policemen and firemen came the space guys here that you see with the stickers on the front of the chest, and it's what really started to establish the play scale that Lego has been building in ever since, which is really kind of a cool concept. Right next to classic space, there are some of the most contemporary of the space themed sets, and it would be too difficult to go through all of the themes right now because there are a ton. So let me just talk about a couple of the themes that I personally really like. I grew up with Ice Planet, and then looking back, I realized it was actually called Ice Planet 2002 as the official title, which is kind of strange. But those neon chainsaws were really fun to play around with. One of my good friends had all of the Insectoid sets, so I fondly remember playing with all of those builds. The third iteration of Space Police has maybe one of the best minifigures of all time, and the Life on Mars was a very, very ambitious line, but it was interesting to see that Lego tried out the peace and loving theme in space and realized that it just didn't work out too well. Next up, we're jumping over to the TV case. This is the case with all the different themes from some of our favorite popular television shows, and there are still TV series that have been produced in Lego for one thing or another that haven't made it into this case yet. Right now, we're just displaying our absolute favorites. Now, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is one of those no-joke collections. Lots of collectible figs included, as well as 2 San Diego Comic-Con Comic-Con figs. They're both very, very rare and collectible, and I think it's interesting to point out that this Shadow Leonardo, he's got a special Comic-Con sticker that goes around his skateboard, which is the only reference to Comic-Con for any physical piece that is included for a fig. The SpongeBob superhero figs are amazing, and for Stranger Things, the San Diego Comic-Con Barb fig is a pretty interesting example of meme culture finally influencing what happens when it comes to producing a Lego fig. Cool that she got her own highlight, and we didn't just put TV figs in this case. There's also other ones, and Hammond from Overwatch is just my favorite. Now this next case is more movie-based. We've got Toy Story, Disney, both of the Lego movies, Pirates of the Caribbean, and Lord of the Rings. It took quite a long time to research and totally collect all the figs from some of these larger collections. Lord of the Rings especially was difficult in order to find all of the different characters and get all the different iterations collected properly. But let me just once again jump through some of the highlights. Woody here from Toy Story was the first fig to have large legs, and then that opportunity was totally lost on Jack Skellington from the latest Disney collectible minifigure series. They could have totally given him tall legs. That would have made a lot of sense. The post-apocalyptic guys from the Lego Movie 2 are my favorite kinds, and Harley Quinn from Suicide Squad randomly was put into one of the sets here, and she's the most collectible from the Lego Movie 2. Kind of strange, but we're moving on to Lego Movie 1. Personally, I love the robotic Westerners. There are actually so many really fun characters from Lego Movie 1. I think there's actually a bit more unique and fun characters from this film than the Lego Movie 2. And here's a couple of different builds for Metalbeard as well as SDCC Unikitty. Now the collection for Pirates of the Caribbean doesn't look as big as maybe some of the larger ones, but a lot of these figures are very rare and difficult to get your hands on, and some of them look really fun. The ghost ship Silent Mary is an excellent build, but don't look too close. We might have used some of her pieces at some point to put some custom build together. Now here's a very quick couple of shots at the much larger Lord of the Rings collection. Super collectible figs, excellent detailing, probably the best details for helmets as well as beards. And if I was to ever get one new collectible minifigure series, I would want it to be based on the Silmarillion. And alright, we've jumped onto our last case, which is also movie based. Starting at the top, we've got all of the different Ghostbusters with the Ecto 1 and the Ecto 2. Then of course we've got Back to the Future with the custom DeLorean and Tron, while the next shelf and the one below it has the complete collection of Harry Potter, one of the personal favorites of mine and one of by far the most popular collections that people like to check out when they visit the studio. It's one of the themes that starts off with yellow faces and then slowly turns into flesh tones, and there are a few extremely collectible and super unique figures that were created for this line. Similar to Star Wars, new things were done in the Harry Potter theme first before anywhere else. Truly, I think there is something to be said when a theme is so incredibly popular that even though they're not making movies based on these characters anymore, Lego is still producing sets on them, and people still want them. I still want them, and another collectible minifigure series for Harry Potter would be very much welcome here in the studio. Jurassic Park is probably one of my favorite looking collections, just for the entire display with all of the different dinosaurs and the latest UCS set with the giant gates. And then here is Indiana Jones, one of my personal favorite movie trilogies of all time, next to one of the best Lego sets based on any movie scene ever. Okay, so that's the basic rundown of our Lego minifigure collection that we have on display here in the studio. I cut a ton back from this video, and frankly, if I was to do it all over again, I could give you a completely different set of factoids about all the collections. I mean, there were so many things that I skipped over, but at the end of the day, this was just a basic highlight reel of what it's like to be inside of and to do a very quick tour of one of the world's largest Lego privately owned minifigure collections. Hope you guys enjoyed this little tour. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, if you want to see our studio in person, we are in San Diego, open on the weekends. Click that link in the description below to learn more. Let me know what types of videos you'd like to see in the future. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time at BrickVault.